Oh, fantastic. I have 6 o'clock. Are we good, Jeff?
We are good.
Okay, good evening, everybody. 6 o'clock. Welcome to your City Hall, by the way. Welcome to your City Hall. Room 11. This is the DGR Subcommittee to the Holyoke City Council. I'm the chairman. With me is the Honorable Howard Graney, Peter Tallman, Michael Sullivan. And we have a full agenda, but it's going to be, I think, an efficient agenda, and miracle of all miracles, non-controversial, I hope. So, first item, if we could get a motion to take one off the table, that'd be great.
Motion to take item number 1 off the table.
Motion made and seconded to remove agenda item 1 from the table on discussion. Hearing none on the motion, all in favor? Aye. Minutes from the prior meeting, I have to say, those are detailed. They're on point, got all the votes right. What else do you want? Anybody with comments or corrections?
Great job.
Hearing none,
Motion
I'll
to accept
take a motion.
Motion to accept the previous
Motion made
meeting
and
minutes.
seconded to accept the meetings from the prior meeting, minutes from the prior meeting. On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I will take a motion to remove number 2 from the table and to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion to take item 2 off the table.
Motion made and
Open public
seconded to take up agenda item number 2 from the table and open a public hearing. A discussion, hearing none on the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
This is a public hearing for an application dated June 15th, 21, special permit application of Gary Gladu for a driveway in front of 139 Huron, et cetera, off of Downing Avenue side of the property per section 6.1.8.1 of the zoning ordinance. Okay, Mr. Gladu, Jeff, would you just give him a little guidance on the mic? Maybe that mic, just make sure that mic is on. Is that mic? Make sure this stupid. If our cell phones are on, including mine, if we could just turn them off, that'd be great. Or turn them on turn them down. Okay,
there we
so
go.
that'd be great. I hope all the committees had a chance to review what's happening here. So, Gary, we've done many of these items. So, pardon my coarseness when I go through these. I've just done so many. It's almost like it's just a rote thing. So, but I'm so glad you're here in City Hall, and welcome. So it's great to have you. What I want you to do is just put in your own words for the committee what it is you're trying to do. So I'm going to let you speak. Then what's going to happen is I'm going to open it up to the members of the committee. I don't see any other members here, and Mr. Anderson Burgos will let me know if there's any other councilors online. We'll open up to them for follow-up questions, if any.
Sure.
Then we'll look to see if any department heads are here, if any, and then we're going to open up to the public, yay or nay, pro or con, and then we will proceed accordingly, okay? So you have the floor, sir. What's happening?
Well, thank you very much, first of all, for giving me a chance to present this. Our house is located on the corner of Huron and Downing Avenue, and the driveway is located on the Huron Avenue side of our property. And it's in disrepair and it needs to be repaved. The other problem with our driveway, it's on a very steep slope going up to the front of our house. And this makes it very difficult getting in and out of the car, especially in the winter. And there's really nothing we can do about that. But I think our best solution would be to add a second driveway on the Downing Avenue side of the property, which is flat land, and this would be much safer for me and my wife to enter the property as we're approaching 70 years of age. So I started the process of getting a permit for a curb cut, and the city engineer said I would need approval from the city council first for a special permit. And I really don't see how having that second driveway on the Downing side would create any problems, since there's very little traffic in our neighborhood, and the only cars we see are the people who live at that end of the neighborhood. And in fact, my backyard neighbor, and his property is on the corner of Ontario and Downing, has the same 2 driveway setup, 1 driveway on Ontario and 1 driveway on Downing, that I'm requesting. And I've been living there for 11 years, and I haven't seen where it has caused any problems at all. So for that reason, I'm asking for your committee to approve this special permit, and we can go ahead and get the paving done before the season is over.
All right, Mr.
Thank you,
Gladu.
David.
Go ahead. I interrupted you. Go ahead. You finish your thought.
No, that was it. I just wanted to ask for your approval so we can get the paving done after all the process plays out, because I think they only pave until a couple weeks into November. So
Yeah.
thank you very much.
I know Mr. Sullivan would to tell us on that, and I just saw a huge contracting project on a brand-new driveway on South Street next to the Baptist Church. So that's going on as we speak, and that's a pretty big driveway project. Okay, questions from the committee for the applicant? Council Tallman.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Gladu. On the drive, you're making this driveway a little bit smaller than the other one, the existing one?
Yeah, it's only going to be 10 feet wide. We have a 10-foot gate in our fence on that side of the property, and much shorter than the other driveway. But it would accommodate us pulling in there and closing the gate, and it would...
So when you get in there, you go to like the side door, or you'll be going to your front door still, or?
Yeah, we would go into the back door. We have
Back.
a deck on the back, and it would be a lot easier and safer.
Right, and on your existing driveway, and I notice I'm familiar with that, and I know that the way the driveways go.
Yeah.
Will that be taken out, or are you gonna leave that there?
No, initially, that driveway needs to be repaved, and while they're there, I asked the paver, Frenchie Theriault,
Yeah, I know.
to give me a price for a second driveway.
Okay.
And that started the whole, I was not aware that it was a special permit or anything except a curb cut, because like I said, right behind me, the neighbor has 2 driveways, but they're not on the same street, and mine wouldn't be on the same street either. And I have never seen where it's an issue for traffic or any other problem.
Yeah, I know.
So I'm hoping I could do the same thing.
Okay, and so in that side, though, you'll be taking out part of your lawn then, or whatever, right?
We have some crushed stone there.
Oh, stone, okay.
Because we did park a boat in the past, but, yes, might be a little lawn gone, but, not much.
Okay, yeah, I'm familiar with the area, and I think that does make sense, especially since the other resident has the same thing, so
Sure.
I don't have no problem with that.
Council Graney.
Yes, quickly, Mr. Glad, have you spoken to your neighbors about this project and people in the neighborhood?
Yeah, I have, and they have no objection. In fact, I said, yeah, I just want to have 2 driveways, one on this side and one on Huron. And I said, just like this house is set up, and they said, that's not even an issue. They weren't even, it's not an issue at all with the neighbors, so I was glad to hear that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other councilors want to speak on this point? I don't see any more of their hands raised. Let's see here. Department heads, is there any department head that wants to speak on this? Or any member of any department wants to speak on this? I don't see anybody with their hands raised. Is there any member of the public here that wants to speak for or against either on the Zoomer or in person? I know, Mr. Owen. Thank you, Mr. Owen. All right. Oh,
Thank
you're very, very, very kind. Okay. Yeah, Gary, it's follow up on what Councilor Graney said. You did the right thing. So this is my little tip for anybody who wants a zone change or a special permit or anything. Well, go figure it out with your neighbors. If your
Right.
neighbors are down with it, I mean, with rare exception, we're going to be okay with it too. So you did the right thing. And it's always the following: is parking, noise, traffic, lights. That's parking, noise, traffic. If there's no impact on any of that stuff, parking, noise, traffic, lights, you are okay. So I like the way it's laid out. It looks great. I didn't realize the abutter's right there. That's even better. You've got the crushed stone in there, so like you've been doing for a while. So since there's no further questions, I would take a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
Motion made and second, and close the public hearing. Under discussion, I'm just going to say very briefly, we do have the authority to put conditions on any permit that we want. So under 9.4.3 of the city ordinances. So we have. I don't know if we're going to do that, but just so I'm clear, Gary, your neighbor, is there any kind of screening at all? Are there arborvitaes, or is it just like right there?
If you were in this proposed driveway and you were to pull out on Downing Avenue, it's a clear view.
That's
We're
great.
not close to the corner. I think we're over 80 feet from the corner.
Okay, but there's a slope by Joe's house.
Yep.
So you can see everything that's going
Yeah,
on there?
Yeah, it would be no problem. Yeah, I don't think there's any issue with the line of sight at all.
Okay, that's great. And does your neighbor have any kind of like, any vegetation growing up there to block, do they have anything like, arborvitaes or anything
But
like that?
the other two driveways?
Yes.
Yeah, no, theirs is wide open, actually.
Wide open?
They have no
Okay.
problem.
Okay, so there you go. So you would be just almost like a parallel type of a situation is what it sounds like.
Yeah,
So-
that's what I'm requesting.
Okay, all right, on the motion to close the public hearing, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'll take a motion to grant a special permit. I don't think there's any conditions that I can possibly think of, so.
Motion to grant the special permit?
Motion made and seconded to grant a special permit on discussion. Hearing none on the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, so we just made a recommendation, that's all we do.
Okay,
We made a recommendation to the full board, and the full board will vote on it at the first meeting in October. Once we take action on it there is by state statute a 20-day appeal period. And so we're meeting on October 6th.
5th.
Thank you, Mr. Tallman.
Yes, sir.
We're meeting on October 5th, so you gotta wait the requisite 20 days. And then after that, then you'll get the special permit, and most likely, and you can talk to somebody in the law department, maybe Attorney Bissonette or Attorney Ball, but you should definitely talk to your lawyer. You would probably be advised to potentially record that special permit into Registry of Deeds.
yeah,
Unfortunately, it's $105 to do that, but it protects that going forward. But I didn't give you advice. It's just something to consider with your lawyer, okay? But you can talk to Attorney Bissonette in the law department, or Attorney Ball, or Attorney Degnan. They'll happily help you on that.
all right, the question I have is, if this goes through and the permit's issued and we go through the 20-day period, is this permit valid into next year, or is there a
Yes.
30-day limit?
No. It's a special permit. Our special permits are generally 1 year, but I mean, for heaven's sakes, you're planting a driveway. So, I mean,
Yeah.
that's why you record the thing, you record the city council
Yeah.
vote. It pretty much is a permanent record, so when you go to transfer the house out of your name, or whatever it is you do down the road, that your successor in interest would have a
Okay.
record of that, okay?
Yeah, I'm just thinking if we get, the paving season ends, if this would be okay till spring. So it sounds like it would be.
Yeah, I think you'll be
everything
okay, but you can
Good.
confirm that with the law department, but I'm pretty confident I'm right,
Okay, so that's not an issue. Thank you.
Mr. Gladu, thank you so much for coming down, okay?
Thank you.
Really appreciate you being
Appreciate
here. Okay, let's see what we have here. I will accept the motion to remove agenda item 3 from the table and open up the public hearing.
Motion to take item 3 off the table and open up the public
Motion made
hearing?
and seconded to remove from the table agenda item 3 and open the public hearing. All in favor? Aye. Special permit application for home occupation of Nicole Fontaine for a salon at 351 Jarvis Avenue, per section 482 of the Holyoke Zoning Ordinances. Is Miss Fontaine here? Oh, boy, how about that for good timing? Okay, Miss Fontaine, hold on a second. I can't stand this stuff. Hold on, Miss Fontaine.
Got it.
And again, I want to thank the administrative assistant for getting the microphone set up. It just makes everybody's life simpler when it's already set. Ms. Fontaine, we're going to do the same drill that we had for your predecessor. Why don't you just tell us in your own words what it is that you're, so for example, right here I see clear as day, hours of operation, Wednesday 10 to 5, Friday 12 to 9, Saturday 9 to 4, Sunday 10 to 5. I also see number of delivery 0, I see signage none, and I see the name of business, Hair by Nicole, which is a great name. And then there's that. But we will do the exact same drill. I'm not going to repeat it, but tell us in your own words what's happening here, okay?
You got it. Hi, my name is Nicole, and I got tired of working for corporate salons, so I'd like to open a business in my home. I have a room in the basement that's perfect for it with a hatchway entrance. I've been a hairdresser for, oh my gosh, 20 plus years, and this is just the next chapter that I'd like to go forward with. You're accurate with my hours of operation. Eventually, I will be taking Sundays off, so that will drop. But that's what I would like to have happen.
Okay, that's great. And just, what's the parking situation like up there?
So I have a driveway, which is rather steep, so if you could actually help me with that. I don't know how to go about trying to get a parking on the street. Currently, there is no parking on Jarvis Ave. However, Loomis House has temporary parking, so I didn't know how I could go about getting a parking spot in front of my house just for the clients.
Oh, very interesting.
Because I do have a driveway, but it's a little bit steep, so some clients get very nervous. So some park on the street against my judgment, but it's their call. And no one's ever gotten a ticket. Sullivan School certainly fills up with cars.
I'm just going to pretend we didn't hear any of that. We didn't hear it because we're not operating a business right now.
Right.
So, all right. So
Yes.
we didn't hear any of that stuff. Okay, that's all stricken from the record by proclamation of the chair. Okay, but so what's happening? Just orient me. Your property is when I'm heading towards the Wyckoff Park Country Club from the Soldiers Home. I'm traveling on Jarvis Avenue, and you're on the right-hand side.
I'm on the left-hand
You're on
side,
the left-hand side.
across from Sullivan School.
You're directly across from Sullivan School. Directly across?
Not directly. So Sullivan, at the end of Sullivan, you have a little bit of woods, and then there are the Jarvis Height projects. So the little bit of woods are directly in front of my house.
Okay, and at this point, there's no parking on your side of the street?
Both,
On both sides?
correct.
Now, why would that be?
It's a tough situation. There's no parking anywhere.
Okay, I wonder why that, well, first of all, I don't know why that is. Second of all, as we found out, Ms. Fontaine, at our last city council meeting, I filed an order relative to something on Cabot Street to remove a parking sign. And you know what we found out? The no parking sign, was put there illegally.
Oh,
There was no basis in law or ordinance to put it there. So somebody from the Public Works Department, on his or her own initiative, planted a sign,
yeah,
completely illegal.
yeah.
So we just removed it. So we could add to parking in front of Renaissance Manor and Buckley, whatever it's called now, Buckley House. So that's why we did that.
Yeah.
And so we approved that unanimously at our last full council meeting. So those things do happen in this fair city.
Okay.
Somebody just puts up a sign because they can.
Right.
Can you imagine that? So that may have happened there. So we need to determine whether or not that's in ordinance, and I will ask the city engineer to research that.
Okay.
Second of all, where do you vote? You vote at Sullivan?
No, I vote at Ian White.
Yeah, okay, so you're Ward 7.
Correct.
Okay, so because we have a very collegial body here all the time, we all get along, I don't really like to step on ward councilors' toes. I'll either ask my friend Councilor Tall, well, these are 3 at-large councilors with me. I'm just a humble servant of Ward 3, Little Old Elmwood. So what I would recommend you do, you can reach out to the Ward 7 councilor subsequent to this meeting and ask the gentleman to consider filing an order to remove the no parking sign.
Okay.
Or any one of these at-large councilors can do so.
Okay.
And you can, all their numbers and names are public record, and you can happily contact them. I'm not going to file the order, but I think they all heard me. And if that's something, and what they could do, for example, is have no parking except right? Except when your hours, except on your hours of operation.
It's kind of what I was hoping for.
I mean, I don't think that's off the charts. In
Right.
fact, we do that all the time. That's pretty reasonable. Let me ask you this last question. How many people are we gonna have at one time?
Only one at a time.
One at a time, okay. So because, your argument is because we live with a steep driveway, we would like the city's consideration to remove the limit the no parking sign, so that people who have difficulty, ambulatory issues, can park on level ground. And once they enter the property, are they walking up the steep driveway, or how do they get into the house? I mean, I guess
They would have to walk up the steep driveway, but the issue is when people back out, they get very nervous. So they would be walking down. We take very good care of it over the winter time, because we're up and down it ourselves. So it's not about safety concern going up and down, it's more about pulling out of my driveway.
Okay.
We're used to it, we live there, but
Now, you heard what I said to your predecessor about the duration of the permit.
Yeah.
Now, he's planting if we pass it next week, which I'm going to presume, let's just assume we do it. I mean, look, that's forever. Yours is not the same thing. Yours is 1 year. So hypothetically, if we pass this, your will be subject to an annual renewal by this body. Generally it's, all rubber stamped, unless there's an issue. And the only way we'd have an issue really is because of a butter, right? So there's that. Okay, I said enough. Do any other members of this body have a question mark for the applicant? Councilor Tallman?
Yeah.
Councilor Greeny next.
Thank you, Nicole. I'm very familiar with the area. My concern too, a little bit is, and I understand it, we try to get, in front of your house, there's no signs, it's just, people just don't park there, right?
no, there's a sign directly.
Right in front?
Yeah, so my house is the one that has the yellow blinking school light in front of it.
Okay.
And the pole that holds the power for that is where the sign is, which is, within a foot or two of my mailbox.
Okay, because across the street, I know where Gerard Way is, there are people that do park there. And that's, probably shouldn't be, right? But there
They
are
should
people
not
that always.
be. Correct.
Are there signs there too also?
There are, yes.
Yeah, because often I see 4, 5, 6 cars on the other
Yep.
side of the street.
There were
coming
2 cars across the street 2 weekends ago for the whole weekend. But,
Now, the other thing is on Jarvis, because if I'm heading towards the Soldiers' Home and I'd say I park in front of your house, now when they get out of the car, aren't they sort of going into traffic? Isn't it sort of, there's not a lot of room in the side, is there, on the street? Sort of like the breakdown lane?
the breakdown lane, it's actually quite large on both sides.
Okay, so it is, it's not like 3 or 4 feet, it's
No,
a car?
you're well within, your car fits well within
So a car could
the
fit in
white
there.
line.
Okay.
Yep.
And if somebody was coming for an appointment and they park out there, an elderly woman, say in her 80s or whatever, you would be aware when she's coming and help her
Oh, yeah, I
to
would
get
go
on
down.
to the driveway? Because I understand with the winter too, with the driveways
Yep.
and walks and everything, I know you keep it clean, but
Yep.
it can be very slippery
Yes.
with that area, so.
Yep. We also just took down, we're in the process actually of taking down a small cherry apple tree, because that creates a lot of shadowing from the sun
Right.
to get the driveway clean, so we took that down too, so that way it'll get full sun now.
And you stated something about a hatchway, but how do they get into your house? In the front, or is there
So,
like a back door, or?
Right now, I would have them come through the front, provided I'm granted the special permit. What I'd like to do is have a walkway done from my back, not my back, let me think, my gate, actually, for the backyard. I'd like to have a walkway done from there to the hatchway. The hatchway is only 4, maybe 5 stairs. If they come in through my home, they have to go down my basement stairs, which in hindsight would be fine. It's just a lot more stairs. So they would have the 2 options, whatever more convenient for them with stairs.
But there would be, how do they get in there? Is it just like a regular door to go down the stairs?
For the hatchway?
Yeah.
The hatchway opens with 2 ways, and then once it's up, there's like handrails kind of built into it a bit.
Okay.
So they would come down through there. But I always greet my clients at the front. Well, I
On the
would
front?
be greeting my clients at the front.
Okay, yeah, because I'm thinking hatchways, I'm thinking people, you pull them up, it's 2 doors.
It is. It is. But again, with granting of the permits, that business would I would be able to do more. I don't want to get ahead of myself.
Right.
But I would like to have a door built so that it's not a hatchway. It would be an actual extension of the home and have a door. But again, I need to have X, Y, and Z done first
Okay. And,
before I change the house.
and are other neighbors aware of what you're trying to do, or, I mean, it's a public hearing, so we
I
might
know,
hear from
yeah, I would
somebody.
say other than the public hearing, I
You're not-
have two new neighbors. The ones to my left are maybe less than a year, and the other side is maybe less than a month now, so I don't really know them very well.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Counselor Greenie?
Yeah, my question was about the neighbors, the abutters, to make sure that they are completely on board with this project. It's critical that you have their support.
Okay.
Okay, since we are in a public hearing, I'm going to see if there's a department head that would like to speak on this matter. Raise your hand. I don't see anyone. I'm going to see if there's a member of the public that would like to speak for or against this petitioner. Raise your hand. I don't see anybody. Okay, Ms. Fontaine, so, let me just, boy, this is something, huh? Bear with. Okay, I mean, I think your application's pretty darn clear. You know, you're the property owner, you laid it out. I think there's gotta be, I think in this case, there's probably gonna be a couple of conditions. One is gonna be that your hours you adhere to the hours in your application. Second of all, I think that the parking situation is gonna have to be rectified, but, I can't really make that a condition in this, because right now, the only thing you can do is have, people park in the driveway. So there's really no on-street parking until such time as you do what you need to do, per my advice. You can accept it or ignore it, that's your call. And then, the other thing I'm gonna suggest this committee is that, you know, you are in a residential area, and a thickly settled residential area. So while I support business to the extent that I can, you know, I really don't want to have 2 or 3 people waiting there. So I'm going to propose a condition that at most there can be 1 person waiting, okay, at most. So that means, you know, if the police are aware of this permit, they will be aware if we pass it, and there's 2 or 3 cars there, I mean, they're going to come by, and then if they come by, they're, you know, it's going to be addressed there, and nobody wants that. So, right, okay. So, that being said, I will accept a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second?
Motion made and seconded, close the public hearing and discussion, hearing none on the motion, all in favor? Aye. Okay, I'm going to make a motion that we recommend adoption of special permit with the following conditions. One, that the hours of operation, oh, look, she's got it right here.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I'm talking like a big shot. She's got it all laid out. I like it. Okay, so 1 client at a time. We love that. 1 client at a time. At most, 1 person can wait. Hours of operation, Wednesday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Friday, 12 p.m. to 9 p.m. Saturday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. That's my motion.
Yeah, and also, that's the other condition, I mean, what she's written there, also no deliveries and no signs.
No deliveries, no signs. So we'll amend that motion to add no deliveries and no signs. You got to second it or not? Second. Thank you. Okay, so motion made and seconded. Under discussion, just to reiterate for the administrative assistant. So 1 client at a time with at most 1 person waiting. Hours of operation, Wednesday 10 to 5, Friday 12 to 9, Saturday 9 to 4, Sunday 10 to 5. All other days are off the table. No deliveries, no signage, and was that it, Pete?
Yep.
Okay. All right, no deliveries, no signage. That's motion made and seconded to approve the special permit with the aforesaid conditions. On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Okay, so you heard what we said. We're just going to ship this along to the full city council on October 5th. And if we approve it then, which I don't see why we won't, Councilor Greenie.
Would you ask anybody if there's anybody on the Zoom or anything that may want to comment?
No, I did, yeah, thank you, Councilor Greenie. So, Yeah, October 5th. So once we go through that, if we approve it, then it's a 20-day appeal period. And then once you get through that, then you have your special permit. So hopefully at the next agenda, I'll see an order filed for your parking situation. And that order has to be submitted by, when's it going to be in, Jeff?
Friday at noon?
Councilor Bartley.
Motion to allow the administrative assistant to speak.
Second.
Motion made and second, allow the administrative assistant to address. All in favor? Aye. Counsel, yes, Jeff.
There was an email sent, I guess it was sent to the public comment email that
Oh.
I did not see that sought to add something to the record for this permit.
Yeah, we're gonna have to review it. So tell me what it is, because I did ask
All right.
multiple times. So what's the letter?
Yeah, I did not see the email until it was just forwarded to my direct email. It's from Sheila Rodriguez. Says, "Good afternoon. Follow up to my conversation this afternoon. I do have some concerns with this request, and I hope that these are considered when processing."
What is Mr. Rodriguez's address?
327 Jarvis Ave.
327 Jarvis. Okay, what's her, go ahead.
One, would this special permit have any negative impact on the current zoning for Jarvis Ave? Will the zoning continue to stay as residential? We currently have heavy traffic between Sullivan School and Jarvis Heights apartments. Will this application cause heavier traffic flow? In the subject of traffic, currently people fly through Jarvis Ave with no respect to the speed limit. There is even times, mostly late at night, where certain individuals have car racing on Jarvis Ave. Would this permit bring in more volume of cars into the area? And with no speed limit being enforced, bring up the volume of cars and speeding into the area? Number 4, Jarvis Ave is currently a no parking zone, but the law is not being followed, especially on the side of Jarvis Heights apartments. With this permit, where would people park, and in return, would that increase more cars parked on the no parking area? Number 5, we also have the issue with garbage thrown onto the streets, especially on the side of Jarvis Heights apartments. Also an ongoing issue with no solution, I guess the norm for certain parts in Holyoke. Will this permit increase volume of people in the area, and in return, more garbage thrown on the streets?
Okay, so I guess, we should probably, let's just do a quick motion to reconsider, just for the record. If we could just have a motion to reconsider our action.
Motion to reconsider our actions?
Motion made and second, reconsider our action. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Yeah, just under discussion. So just for the record, this is a Miss Sheila Rodriguez of 327 Jarvis Avenue, who raised, I'm going to address every one of these in a second, raised a certain number of issues, and she did submit her questions within the public hearing guidelines. So her participation has to be respected, and it has to be addressed. And so that's why we're reconsidering our actions for the purposes of addressing Ms. Rodriguez's questions, all of which, what did I say at the start? Parking, noise, traffic, lights. How many times do I got to say it? That's exactly what it is for all these. I mean, it's like I can predict what, I've only been doing this for more than a minute. So, okay, current zoning. So if Ms. Rodriguez or any member of the public, does this affect current zoning? Absolutely not. Has nothing to do with, this is not a zone change, has zero to do with change of zoning. So to follow up, would this affect the residential zoning? No, absolutely does not. This is a special permit. So the zoning is what it is in that area. This does not impact it. Wow. Good luck reading my notes. Jeff, what was the second one after the zoning thing?
She mentioned that they currently have heavy traffic between Sullivan School and Jarvis Heights.
Okay, heavy traffic, yeah, so I believe we addressed that, because this is one person at a time, at most one person waiting at a time for limited hours. And I don't feel like there's any, but I don't feel that, unless the committee wants to correct me, but I don't think there's any reason to call for a traffic study based upon this. However, If a committee member wants to say something that they can't, or a member of the public, if they want to suggest a traffic study. What's the next one?
She was concerned with cars
Speeding.
not respecting the speed limit in the area, and she had a concern that this would bring more cars into the area, in an area where the speed limit is not regularly
Based
enforced.
upon what we said before said discussion, this is going to be a de minimis impact. However, I would say to the petitioner, just like I said to the at-large counselors, that, speeding is epidemic. Those ridiculous sounding exhaust, the backfires, that's an epidemic. I know what goes on with all that stuff, but that's something where you have every right to speak to and address the police department, and you certainly want to talk to any officers that you know. You want to talk to the Ward 7 counselor, whose job is to represent you on these matters and to get speeding and parking enforcement put in place. We passed the laws. Jeff just showed me that the laws are in place up there. So I don't want to hear that there's no ordinance in place. And there's signs all over there too. So every time we hear a cop, well, put up a sign. Well, somebody put up signs long ago, so the signs are there. So everybody knows there's no parking. But if we're not going to enforce it, what are we doing? So, but sometimes it takes somebody like you, Ms. Fontaine, to reach out to whomever you want to reach out and say, listen, as far as the litter goes, I'm going to say this, you're running a business just like your house. You don't want it blowing all over the place, and you don't want it anywhere. But, litter does nothing but belittle all of us. So we're going to have to all make a better effort to pick it up. You're going to hear from the next petitioner what happens over there at that lot. They do a great job, but it's a never-ending battle on top of all the other never-ending battles that you got to face. I have it in front of my law office constantly. I pick up the damn street on a daily basis. So yeah, but those are reasonable questions. What else, Jeff?
Number 4 was in relation to the no parking not being followed.
Okay, we asked and answered. What else?
Number 5 was a concern with garbage being thrown on the streets.
Asked and answered. What else?
That was it.
Okay. All right. So we did motion to reconsider it. I'm just going to renew the motion as aforesaid to grant approval of the permit with the aforesaid conditions. Second. Motion made and seconded to approve the special permit with the aforesaid conditions. Under discussion. Anyone want to speak on this at all? Hearing none on the motion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Okay, so, all right, that was a little exercise in civics right there, but we got through it, okay? So, so you're good. You heard what we said. Good luck. Thanks for coming down, okay?
So much, guys.
All right, thanks a lot. All right.
Thank you.
All right, number 4. Whoa. We've got some, this is exciting royalty coming in before us. I can't wait for this.
Motion to take item number 4 off the table.
Motion made and seconded to remove agenda item 4 from the table and open the public hearing. All in favor? Aye. Special permit application for Auto Sales Center, Inc., 1607 Northampton Street, to expand the current licensed car lot to incorporate the newly acquired land at 1611 and 1615 Northampton Street, per Section 7213 of the Zoning Ordinance. Mr. Elfman, please approach the microphone, sir. Now, just give me half a minute.
Good evening.
Evening.
All right, Ira, you've heard what we said for the first 2 petitioners. Welcome to City Hall, your City Hall. Glad it's back open. We have a nice letter here. The site plan being presented is a proposal to expand our current licensed car lot to incorporate the newly acquired contiguous land adjacent to our existing business. The proposed addresses are, the current business has been owned and operated by Mr. Elfman for over 30 years and will continue under the same ownership. There is a question, and I do see your map on here. I'm going to ask you to orient the committee and the public as to your business, though we all know where it is here, but we're just going to have you do that anyhow. And then you're going to tell us about the properties you purchased and how they're zoned. and then we're going to perhaps talk about what it is that you want to do going forward. But you have the floor.
Thank you very much, and gentlemen and Mrs. Graney, I appreciate the opportunity to speak, and looking forward to trying to get a special permit. My name is Ira Elfman, and I've been in the car business in Holyoke for over 30 years at my current location. I recently did purchase the properties next door to me, which was formerly known as, I think, Cooper's Cottage and Cray Avenue down there. And basically, I'm looking to expand my current license that I have and be able to put some cars on the property that I just purchased, which is the word contiguous that you said. It touches the property that I currently am operating my business.
That's great. What are they zoned now, Ira?
It's zone business.
So the cottage, Cooper's Cottage, and then the Cray Package Store are zoned
Yes,
the way you want to have them zoned
That
for
is
your use.
that is correct.
So what you're saying to us is that you are investing further in the city, and you want to expand your business on a larger footprint.
That is correct.
Okay. And when you say you want to expand your business, what are you going to start selling? Mack trucks? What are you going to start selling there?
Right. I would like to just be able to continue doing exactly what I'm doing, but just to utilize the property that I purchased, and so I would have a little more room and a little more frontage on Northampton Street, and that's basically it.
Right. You've got two existing structures at least on there. What's our intention with those?
So the 1611 Northampton Street that's on the, which is lot 44 on the map, is something I've owned for many years. That I bought many years ago. The 1615 is the Cooper's Cottage, which does incorporate Cray Avenue and the property behind it. Right now, I'm sort of just taking care of it, and it's a property that I love very much, and I'm trying to refurbish that building and make it nice, because it needs a little attention, but we've been doing a lot of work there.
Oh, great. So this might be there might be something to look forward to down the road. Who knows?
Absolutely. And of course, you know, I'm a very fond Holyoker, and I love the neighborhood a lot. So I'm excited that I had the opportunity to buy it. It's land that and property I've looked at for many years, and when the opportunity came up to be able to purchase it, I was very excited to do so.
That's great. Committee members have a question for Mr. Elfman. Counselor, well, we'll do it the opposite. Counselor Graney.
Yeah, just quickly, Mr. Elfman, those structures that are there, is it your intention to maintain those structures over a long period of time? You have no plans to raise any of the buildings or anything like that?
So absolutely, I'm trying to maintain the properties that are there. The Cray's Package Store is a property that is in disrepair. It is something that a portion of it may have to come down because of the state of condition on that, but that is the only one. There is the Cooper's Cottage is a really nice building. Whatever part of Cray's that can be saved, I would gladly try to save it, but that's something that has to be looked at by professionals.
Secondly, have you spoken to the people who are in the dwelling behind the package store?
Behind the house?
The house behind the package.
So I purchased that house as well.
So that house is...
That goes with the property along with the street and all the land that's back there.
All right. Do you have an intention to use the Cooper's Cottage as another type of business, or will it be incorporated as your car business?
That's a good question. So I don't have a definite plan for it yet. I would like to utilize the property, absolutely. And I would entertain something that would be complementary to what I'm, doing, something that could coexist with my business, but I am going to be very particular with what goes on there.
Thank you.
Council Holman?
Thank you, Ira. I'm looking at the planning of the lot and everything. The 1611, that's a home? That's a house next to your
Yes,
business?
That's correct.
It's like a 2 or 3 family?
That's a two-family, yeah, which is zone business as well.
Okay, and in front of that's gone. There used to be the barber shop there?
That used to be the barber shop, which unfortunately was something I wanted to keep, but a vehicle went out of control and drove into
And that
it.
was so that's
A few years ago. That's down, yeah.
It's down. And on one of these pages, second or third page, you mentioned something about the type of vehicles. Recreational vehicles, you're talking like big vehicles or boats,
No,
marine vehicles?
yeah, we sell typically just cars and trucks.
And trucks, so like Jeeps, trucks,
Yes.
pickup trucks?
Yeah, very, typical, nothing, we don't typically are involved in commercial box trucks or that type of thing, no.
So you wouldn't have like the big, those driving RVs or anything?
No,
there?
we don't, throughout the years, we might have sold one or two, but that is not our business.
Okay. And how many, I'm looking at the diagram, how many will fit there in that new area approximately?
Approximately 10 cars.
10, so like slanted or facing forward
Yes,
or?
right, sort of, as you can see from the diagram, going straight across and sort of making a little corner as you come to Cray Avenue.
Right, and so that's business, so if you go back to past the old package store, then that's residential area, right?
After the package store, which is way down Cray Avenue, yeah,
Down about, yeah,
that's right.
50 yards or so,
That is, that's correct.
okay. And the plan sets the vehicles back enough from the street or the
Right.
sidewalk?
Right, we have like a 5-foot buffer there that we put in, yep, that's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the city? Any city councilors, department heads? Does anyone from the public here want to speak for this or against this?
I did receive a communication.
Mr. Anderson Burgos.
All right, this was from Patty Devine at 58 Magnolia Ave. She said, I would like to speak in favor of auto sales expansion. When auto sales first became a business in the 1990s, when I was the Ward 6 councilor, they promised to keep a clean and respectful business, and they have never faulted on their promise. One of the best businesses in Holyoke, proud to speak in favor.
Okay, well, that's, those are telling words right there. So,
Thank you,
anyone else?
Patty.
Jeff?
That appears to be it.
Okay, so we got that in. Very good. That's always helpful to hear from a former Ward 6 counselor. I guess we're not going to hear from anybody else, but I don't think the house on Cray Avenue, what are we doing?
Currently, there was someone living in it before we purchased it. There's no one in there now. That's also something that I need to take some time and fix up and make much nicer.
Oh, great. Okay, so the plan is to renovate it and do what you do.
That is the plan.
Okay, well, we can't ask more than that. Okay, I don't see any, okay, and this right here, do we have, so all you're doing is asking for, now, Mr. Elfman,
Yes.
your current business hours are what?
We are opened Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, and we are open on Saturday mornings, 9 to 12, and closed on Sunday.
All right. And what's your position on future hours for this?
We're planning on keeping the hours right now the same, and we haven't had any discussion of changing that. So that's
Right, so I'm gonna what if we said a condition on the permit is to keep the hours, the existing hours the same?
That's fine.
Now, as you're aware, your hours are your hours for where you are, but under the special permit, your hours are mandated.
Okay.
But special permits are not created by anybody but us, so they can, and they often are, amended. So if something happens, you would need to file an amendment to the special permit.
Okay.
So they're not forever and ever, right? So they're just, and as you heard me say to the prior person, this permit's good for a year. And then it'll have to be, annually renewed, okay?
Right, okay.
I know it's a bummer, but it's, that's life,
Okay, all right.
City gets you coming and going, I know. Okay, that being said, I'm probably gonna propose that when it comes time to, I can't see this, you run a wonderful business, Ira, everybody knows it, and everybody's, you're like the modern day version of Magnum Buick. So when that was the official car of Holyoke, you're now the official car of Holyoke. So,
Thank you.
okay, I'll accept the motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing?
Motion made and seconded, close the public hearing. All in favor? Aye. I'll make a motion to recommend granting the special permit with the condition that the hours are the same as the current business, which is to say, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturday, 9 a.m. to 12.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to condition the special permit as aforesaid. On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, on the main motion,
Motion to,
any other discussion?
No.
Hearing none. On the main motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Okay, so that has been recommended for approval to the full board when it meets on October 5th, 20 days, assuming we pass it. It could get amended on the floor too. I should have told the other petitioners that. It could get amended. I don't think it ever has in my career, but it could. And then there'll be a 20-day appeal period. And then after that, you are good to go, okay?
Very, very appreciative. Thank you.
Mr. Elfman, always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
I will take look, is this Miss Gray? Yes. Oh, Miss Gray.
Perfect timing,
Miss Gray.
just in time.
We're not going to have you, of all people, stand. So Mr. Anderson Burgos will direct you to one of those two chairs, and he will turn the microphone on for you, and we'll make sure it's working. And we'll ask you to join us.
Oh, that's very nice. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. You pick either one. Okay. Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, that way you can, and just make sure the mic is kind of near you a little bit, so
Okay.
don't be 100 miles
I
away
talk
from it.
pretty loud. I'm hard of hearing.
Well, yeah,
so-
just drop the microphone down a little bit if you would.
There we
All right,
go.
perfect. Okay, if I could get a motion to remove number 5 from the table, please.
Motion, I take item number 5 off the table?
Second.
Motion made and second to remove agenda item 5 from the table. On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The city council invite Lynn Gray, general manager of the Holyoke Mall, to a future DGR meeting. And it just so happens we have Lynn Gray, and this has helped, Lisa Ray, who's a real veteran of the mall, helped facilitate this. And so this is we just did the development part of DGR for the last 3 petitioners. That's development. Now we're doing the governmental relations part. And this is something that I always look forward to having people come in to meet us so we can meet them. I always say this, we are not the U.S. Senate, so we're not asking hard questions, right? This is just, at worst case, just an open dialogue. But really what I want to do is hear from you, and you can take, up to 2, 3, 8, 9 minutes, whatever you want to do, about yourself, about your background, a little bit what you see the mall is going forward. And then we just kind of open up to the counselors. This is not opened up to the public, but there have been occasions where the public does come in and they do want to raise their hand, and invariably we let the public speak. So, so with that, Ms. Gray, welcome to City Hall.
Thank you for
and
having
thank you
me.
for coming here. And why don't you tell us a little about you and your new position?
Well, I'm very familiar with Holyoke Mall. Actually, my career started in the late 90s there as a customer service representative, if you can believe that. I spent a few years with Pyramid at that point. I did marketing roles. I bounced between Hampshire and Holyoke Mall during my first, I call it the tour of duty with Pyramid. And it was really great. It was a great foundation for learning the business and learning how to work with the community and working with the tenants and customers. And then for 10 years, I was with Brookfield, which at the time was GGP. So shopping center development has always been my background and my experience. And with GGP, I worked with places like Natick Mall and Providence Place, a lot of properties up and down the East Coast in a marketing capacity. And about 6 years ago, just under 6 years ago, I came back to Pyramid. I was the general manager for Hampshire Mall for 5 years. I learned to work with the government. I learned to work with the town officials. We worked together on major projects in revitalizing that property, bringing in Pins and Planet Fitness and a lot of new and exciting non-traditional tenants to that property. I knew Bill Rogalski very well. It's owned by the same company, so we worked together during that time. And when he announced his retirement, I saw it as an opportunity to put myself out there for something bigger and more challenging. So I'm really excited to be back to Holyoke Mall and see what happens with the industry as a whole. It's ever evolving. I'm sure you've noticed a lot of changes with the entertainment and the services and the gym coming in. And we've been really, really proud of the work that we've done as a developer. Pyramid really, it's privately held. It's not, held to shareholders. Our owners are very invested in making sure that our properties are sustainable and relevant. So bringing in new and non-traditional uses has always been our, the holster for us. So I'm looking forward to building on the work that Bill has, provided to the city and to the mall over the years. 19 years those are some big shoes to fill. But I'm really excited by the opportunity, and I think it's going to be a really nice next few years for the center. Things are really starting to open up. I like to say that the floodgates have opened again. Coming out of a pandemic, it's been obviously very challenging for shopping centers, for most businesses, not even just shopping centers. And so we've noticed that there's a lot more interest from national, local, and regional tenants coming and asking questions about opening new spaces. So we definitely see the demand is there. We're seeing that the traffic is definitely improving. We compare our data to 2019. And we've been seeing increases over 2019, which I think has been really promising. I think that we're on the other side of this. We're going to have little setbacks, but I think that we're better prepared now than we would have been, say, 18 months ago to withstand those challenges. But I think we're poised for good things to come in the coming months.
Wow, that's fantastic news. So I'm going to ask a couple of questions. I'll just make a quick comment. So first of all, welcome. We said that this is Holyoke City Hall, and we're all very fortunate, those of us get our elected positions, just to come into this beautiful building on a regular basis. I know I speak for all of us here. It's really an icon of Western Mass, frankly. So I know we all feel very lucky and blessed to be here, and I'm glad you could come. But you've probably been here before, but this is our little room 11. This is where we meet. We have a lot of fun chats, a lot of laughs. That's basically how it works here in City Hall.
It's important. If you
Oh
don't
God,
have
yeah,
fun,
you want to have a lot. You want to have a lot of humor. That's the main thing. Nobody ever gets mad. And then we also want to make sure we say our thank you to Mr. Rogalski. I didn't realize it's been 19 years, and that's pretty amazing.
Yes.
He's a West Side guy, and he was very loyal to the mall and to the city, and he was here many, many times, and so we want to acknowledge that. We also want to note that if you want to get a video of this, you can easily get it on holyoke.org, but if you have an issue, you can speak to Mr. Anderson Burgos, who knows how to do all this stuff, and he can clip it and send it to you. So then the mall itself is, I always like to ask Bill this. What's our currently? What is our what's our occupancy at this stage with the mall?
I can't give the exact occupancy at this point. I wasn't prepared for that level of detail, but I can tell you that the spaces that we do have available are being actively marketed. We actually have a few leases out that are very close to signature. We have a couple of stores that are about to open, like Rue 21 and Onezo in the food court. And we were very fortunate, some of the backfill, some of the fallout, I should say, from the pandemic. Flight, the trampoline park, we were able to replace quickly with Altitude. For Mrs. Fields, we were able to find a new operator there, and we found a Cinnabon operator. So things have been moving in the right direction in terms of, any vacancies that we do have. If we haven't, had interest on it, we're actively marketing those spaces, whether it's a local operator or a regional operator or national. And that was something I did want to point out. I had just a couple of notes that I wanted to go over. I think there's a misconception about shopping centers in general. I'm not talking just Holyoke, being only places where national operators go to do business, and that's not the case. We have many, many local operators and owners that run their facilities out of the mall, including, Hanush Jewelers and Latino's Cuisine and the Greek Place. I mean, we have a lot of local entrepreneurs that choose to do business there and have been very successful. And so those are wonderful people to work with, and we'll continue to seek those opportunities out. So here's my plug. If you know anybody interested, I would love to have a conversation with them.
Oh, it's important, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the Greek place, I think they've been there since 1979.
But they opened
40 plus years
Yeah,
ago.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
original.
they're amazing. And Hanush Jewelers probably been up there almost as long. So, and they're really amazing business people. The mall itself, it's like a chameleon, and I'm just always impressed by it. We had a touch of controversy with the mall maybe a few years ago relative to what was going on at the back lot pursuant to Amazon, and I frankly was disgusted by what Amazon was presenting, and we made our feelings known here, and we severely limited their permit, severely limited it, and so, I mean, to drive up on the back lot with to welcome to Holyoke and here are all my porta potties. There you go. Thanks, Amazon, for that. Appreciate that. So none of us took too kindly to it. We also recently had a little bit of and I haven't gone up there, but the Ward 5 counselor I know she has her thumb on it, relative to the tractor trailer place. So that's an issue. And we know the Wanets, we approved their permits, but we didn't know, I didn't know they'd been moved. They were in one plot space, and that's now where the big development is going in front of the mall. The property sold by Mr. Borowski, and then they were in the back of the mall. I understand they moved again, and so there was a little bit of a controversial debate relative to that at another hearing. So you may or may not hear about that going forward, but the Ward 5 counselor, I'm positive, will touch base with you, and that is in Ward 5. I think
I'll be happy to address those concerns.
Most of it is, yeah. So those are just a couple things. The only last thing I want to say at this point is two things. One is the mall to this day remains the city's largest taxpayer. That's been almost a case since day one when it opened up, and certainly with the expansion for sure. The expansion whatever year that was, and so we have more than once done what was asked of us to change hours, to amend permits, to increase signage. And of course, the number one thing when we had a more active chamber was the commercial rate. Now, our commercial rate is, we all know what it is, and we all know it's not exactly optimal, but we also know that overall tax burden and municipal charges in the city of Holyoke, I mean, Pyramid still wouldn't be here if it wasn't a reasonable basis for making money. So, I remember when all the chamber people would come in, and these are people that are, by the way, several of them were getting city contracts, very handsome city contracts. No bid contracts, by the way. 2 of them, at least no bid contracts. Very handsome premium checks, but they'd be here with their stupid little buttons, grow Holyoke and reduce my tax rate. Now, I was more of a junior counselor at that time, so I didn't speak up as much as I do now. Now I speak up probably a little too much, but I'll never ever let that go. So I just keep in mind, we will do whatever it is we can. Second of all, keep in mind, I know the pyramid's working with Mr. Delude in the assessor's office, so we don't have hidden agendas here. We don't play games. We know that they're always looking for abatements and looking for advice. So that's for the Board of Assessors. That's why they're a separate independent body from the City Council. So I would hate to have anybody, and I've never had it happen to me, but I would hate to have anybody kind of circumvent the Board of Assessors. They do a phenomenal job for the city, and they're really an independent body determining that, and they will make the decisions that are appropriate for the city taxpayer. I would hate to have anybody trying to contact a city councilor to try to influence a member of the Board of Assessors.
Understood.
That would just not be a great scene if I ever, but I haven't heard anything like that. But we just like to say it out loud.
No, I appreciate it.
Yeah, because the members of the board they're appointed by us, so you can see where the connection would come in. They have their jobs and their paychecks because they come through us, but but there's a reason why it's an independent body, so they can be separated from political influence, which I hope that never ever happens. I'll end that there. And then the last thing is, look, we have, and I hope you get to know your way around the city. I'm sure you know way around the city anyhow, but there is a parcel that we lovingly call the Kmart Plaza. And Kmart Plaza, the Big K, WT Grants, whatever was there before that, maybe a cornfield, I don't know. But it's been there a long, long, long time. And now Kmart Plaza and the former ShopRite that's been vacant for now 35 years just sit there. And I don't get it, because it's got everything any developer would ever want, including frontage, traffic,
Access,
and
visibility.
everybody loves free parking. Can't get enough of that. And I never understood why somebody in the business world, the big players like Pyramid, would want to reach out to, the guy who owns it's a multi-billionaire who bought all the stock in Sears. We all know the story, and then he put Sears into bankruptcy really for the sole purpose of having the real estate. He's the guy's brilliant, and that's why he lives in Fairfield County and makes a lot of money. Good for you. But it still sits there. And at some point, more business begets what? More business. We all know that. So look at the development going on there. Ned Borowski's doing his thing with Venture X. Pete and I and Terry and a few others were up there supporting that. You've got the property just to the north of that, which is going to be a national retailer for coffee, another national retailer for something else, and a bank and a few other things. And then across the street with O'Connell's development, which, that's still a thriving economic center.
Absolutely.
And I think all that leads to more things. Then the back end of, your back lot with Amazon. I'm grateful that they're there. Look at Amazon coming in across, whatever they are, the former Atlas Copco. It's just more people lead to more business. We get it's more traffic. We all get that, but it's not like stupid traffic. It's not like New York or Boston traffic. It's you got to wait 2 extra stoplights. I know it hurts, but so it would be nice at some point somebody would reach out to the multi-billionaire at Kmart Plaza. I don't remember his name, but it doesn't matter. It can easily be looked up, and somebody should really take a look at that to find out some way it could be reinvigorated. Clearly our Office of Planning and Economic Development, they tried their best. I'm not knocking them, but I've only been bringing this up to them since I got in office. I only got in office in 2012. And to date, what has happened there? 0. So again, I'm not judging anybody, but when we're about to have some significant changes in the city, possibly on this board, but certainly in room 1, we're going to have certainly there's going to be a new person in there. And whomever that might be, and that's great. But that person is going to have a different vision. And I think it's going to be more city oriented, no matter who it's going to be. It's about economic development, and Pyramid and you, Ms. Gray, have to be directly involved in many of those conversations. Directly involved. And you can't be ignored, and neither can Pyramid. So, we want to hear from you, and want to hear from you more often as we can. And that's why this initial thing. So again, thank you for coming here. I want to thank Ms. Ray for helping to facilitate this. And now I said enough. I know Councilor Sullivan has a question too, followed by Councilor Tallman and Councilor Graney. So, Councilor Sullivan.
Yep. Thanks, Ms. Gray, and welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so I'm very impressed with Pyramid Corporation, how they've weathered the pandemic, and especially the transition they've made even pre-pandemic with bringing in activities and entertainment events and different venues. Reminds me kind of like the Mall of America kind of a scenario, and I think if that's part of the strategy, I think that's great. We have a lot of Holyoke residents that I talk to, and they're going to malls, venues down in Connecticut for water parks and out of town to different places for batting cages and stuff like that. And I'm wondering if there's any interest that has been coming forward or in expanding those kind of venues or bringing something like that to the city.
Yeah, it's funny you ask because, again, one of my notes here that I had prepared before coming was no idea is too crazy. I mean, if you think about 10 or 15 years ago, would you have seen a gym in a mall? Would you have seen, go-kart racing? Would you have seen trampoline parks? And the answer is probably no. So no idea is too crazy at this point. I think that we have an open mind. I mentioned before, our owners are very invested in the properties. They're very in tune to what's happening in the market. And a shift from traditional uses has been something that we've prided ourselves on for 40 plus years. I'm going to refer back to my former property, Hampshire Mall, and a roller skating rink, laser tag. Those are all things that have been there for years. So we are not turning any idea down. No, if it's a water park, if it's volleyball courts, if it's batting cages, all of those things, we are most open to diversifying the use. We know that customers want to have an experience. I think that that's evident in the numbers that we've been seeing from traffic and sales from our entertainment operators. They've been very pleased to see that, people are bouncing back. They didn't bounce back right away. They didn't bounce back fast, but they've certainly come out and they're dining, they're shopping, and they're using the entertainment facilities. So we would be very happy to talk to anybody that might be interested in a non-traditional use, because I think that we have the opportunity in the space. And our team is very well tuned to construction and development. It's something we do as owners every day. So we actually have a lot of knowledge and resources in order to make those crazy ideas happen. We have ropes courses in our property in Syracuse. We have, the 5 Wits, which is like a souped up adventure room in some of our properties. So we definitely are open to those non-traditional uses. I think that it's what makes us relevant. It keeps us relevant and makes sure that customers are happy. They're seeing something new almost every time that they're coming to our center, and that's exciting.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, and I hope Pyramid can be also reaching out and trying to attract some of those people. I know the citizens of Holyoke would love to see a water park, batting cages, a golf driving range, some of those other things right here. And not only that, but what that would do also to bring people in from around the area into Holyoke also, and the effect it
Agreed.
would have on other businesses in the area. So
Yeah.
I thank you for that.
Those leagues are what keep the business sustainable, the Monday through Thursday, those types of leagues, whether it's baseball leagues or volleyball leagues or, those types of things are really important to the sustainability for the business. And then, the weekend traffic, it definitely is an entertainment destination. So I think that it would be a great thing to consider.
Well, I'm certainly glad you mentioned volleyball leagues too. Thanks.
I plugged that in there a couple times because we
That
had
was
a
good.
great
That was
meeting
good.
with George. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank
Councilor
you.
Tallman?
Thank you, Lynn, for coming down and welcome the
Thank
city,
you.
Holyoke, and I'm very much familiar with the other mall, Hampshire Mall. My granddaughter works up there now at the Planet
Okay.
Fitness up there, and I also I go work out the Planet Fitness here in Holyoke. when you talked about Bill Rogalski, his big shoes to fill. And I didn't realize, and I went up there one day and I was talking to Lisa, I think, he says, oh yeah, he retired. It was like maybe June 30th or something. He said he retired, so. But I think any of my colleagues want to, here would say, what can we do as a city to help out the mall? Because we, one of the biggest taxpayers, we want you to thrive. We want you to do the best. We want you to fill up those vacant spots, there. I was up there recently for the opening of Mrs. Fields and met the new owner, a few months back. And he was very excited about being there, and a couple of the other stores that opened, the Cinnabon and other places, especially downstairs, because when they first opened the mall in '79, that place was full. And as time went on, some of those restaurants started, leaving and coming, and I think the pizza place was there for a while, and then it left. Different pizza operator came in, and then it seems like they got the original back. But one of my main questions is, and I just wanted to know, because we voted on the height thing a couple months, maybe a year ago now, about the Sears building, and wonder what's happening there and what's happening with the cinemas, if that's something, because of COVID, I know it's probably held back, but I was just wondering what the progress is with that area.
It's taken a little bit of a stall. I'm sure you are all aware that the industry as a whole, the movie industry, has taken a bit of a hit. I know that a lot of their inventory has been pushed out to 22 and 23 even. I've been patiently waiting for the new Tom Cruise, the Top Gun, very, very patiently. I can't wait for that one. But yeah, I think that when they get their ducks in a row, I think we're going to revisit the conversation. But unfortunately, at this point in time, we're not in a position to say one way or the other. I think we want to, like they've given us time to sort of recoup and put our ducks in a row. We're giving them the same amount of time, so it's sort of a mutual understanding at this point. But when we do hear of anything on that end, we will be sure to loop you in. And that is also something I wanted to make sure you are aware of. I appreciate your support. I think that one thing that I can offer is I will be very candid and open and honest with the things that I can be very open and honest about. I have a lot of opinions too. And we might not always agree on everything, but I think that it's good to have debates because you can, the right partnerships and the right information and the right, decisions can go a long way. So I think that we'll find, you'll hear from me as soon as I know more on that. But at this point in time, things have been stalled.
Okay. And I also like to comment that the mall's always been open to different volunteer organizations coming in and selling things, Christmas time, Christmas gift wrapping. One time years ago, I was downstairs, I think down by the restaurant area before the clothing store was there, the coat factory.
Oh, Burlington.
They had a couple of different things down in there, and they did blood banks down there, and stuff like that. Community things, I think, is important to get people out there and to show that, the mall is really working with the community to put on things and to really promote things that will help, the citizens of our city. So
Absolutely.
a few months before Bill left, probably about a year ago, I was walking in the mall and I just happened to be downstairs and knocked on his door, and we sat and chatted for a half hour or so about what's going on with the mall, what they plan on doing. So don't be surprised if I'm up there someday and
I would be
stop
happy
up
to
there
take that meeting.
just to chat and have a
anytime.
coffee with you and talk about what your plans are and the vision of the mall in the future.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And you mentioned the community part. That's really important to us too, not just Holyoke Mall, but the company in general, community connections. But personally, I've been the board president for the Amherst Chamber. I have, personal charities that I'm involved with as well. I'm part of the Amherst Boys and Girls Club Board of Directors. It's very important to me to stay personally connected to, community organizations, but it's definitely been the top of our marketing list as well. So you'll definitely see that continue. That is something I'm very passionate about.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, you'll definitely want to hear from, you'll hear from Mrs. Panich with The Future Begins Here. That's been a fundraiser up there for 30 years.
I remember that. I worked that event a few times.
Yeah, so that's really great. And it's nice when you're retired, you can go get free cookies and free whatever donuts or whatever Mr. Tallman gets when he goes to ribbon cuttings. Good for him. Also, Granny.
Yes, just quickly, thank you, Ms. Gray, for coming in, and obviously, the city of Holyoke is thrilled to have you and your participation in all the aforementioned events that we're talking about. The thought to exploit the Volleyball Hall of Fame is something that's near and dear to my heart. Possibility, I'm not sure if you have a miniature golf area up there in the mall, which could be quite an attraction for some, especially in the winter months. And you have quite a few people who use the mall on a regular basis to walk in the winter months, which is a recreational facility, and we are very happy that you welcome these people in for, to be able to do that. It's a benefit to the community because a lot of people are kind of cooped up during the winter months, and they have a place to go, and your hours are always conducive to the public, which is terrific. And I just have one question on the food. Do you still have a Subway in the food court?
No,
No? Oh.
no.
I was just wondering, because I was in the Subway business myself for
Oh, yeah?
for 10 years, so.
Yeah, no.
just curious.
We have a new Onezo that is under construction now, should be opening hopefully within the next couple of months.
Good,
And our food
good.
court is full at this point with that opening.
Good.
But we introduced Latinos Cuisine, that's a local guy that opened up outside of J.C. Penney there. That's the only food that I can think of off the top of my head, other than the Mrs. Fields and the Cinnabon and the new Sbarro operator, but, yeah.
Well, I know quite a few people do frequent the restaurant, so that's once again a community service, and once again, especially like I say, in cold weather, in the winter months, the recreational facility that it is, it offers people a place to go and to communicate and talk about different matters. So we
Absolutely.
appreciate you very much for being here, and welcome to Holyoke, and anything that we can do as a subcommittee or as a committee to help you out, we'll certainly do so.
I very much appreciate that. I don't know what I don't know yet, so I'm still learning, but be patient with me as I get up to speed. It's a little bit different than the town of Hadley as far as, the dynamic, so I think I can learn quick, but I'm going to miss some steps, so I appreciate your support.
No, they're good, they have a good board, a select board in Hadley, and I know Miss Ray, she knows all of us, every one of us here, so she can certainly guide you a little bit there if you so desire. Ms. Gray, thank you so much for being
Thank
here.
you.
This is always one of the most fun things that we do in this committee, so we appreciate you coming down, okay?
Thank you very much.
All right,
I
thanks
appreciate it.
a lot, and you have a good ride home and a safe night, and really thanks again, okay?
Thank you
All
very
right,
much.
I'll just take a motion we comply with.
Motion on item number 5 has been complied with.
Motion made second, the agenda item 5 is complied with. All in favor? Aye. I'll take a motion to take number 6 off the table, please.
Motion to take item number 6 off the table.
Motion made and second to remove agenda item 6 on the table. On the motion, all in favor? Aye. Holyoke CPA Annual Budget Article for FY '22, I guess that's what it means. Request for the city council to vote to appropriate and reserve from the Community Preservation Fund annual revenues in the amounts recommended by the Community Preservation Committee, the CPC, for committee administrative expenses and reserves for FY '22, with each item to be considered a separate appropriation. Now, that's a mouthful. Let's just go to that order. Let me clean up my glasses. Thank you. All right, let me just go to that order, if I may. Well, unfortunately, we have our Community Preservation Liaison with us, Mr. Sullivan, so we're lucky for that. Okay, so this is a Article 2022 request. Okay, appropriations. We did receive a communication to this effect on September 7th, and let's see, our appropriations, our budget, and our total is $729,872. So, Mike, are you prepared to speak on this?
Yeah, I think I can cover this.
Okay, so Councilor Sullivan is our Community Preservation Act liaison, totally volunteer. He's been doing a great job since the CPA has been in position. Mike.
Okay. So this is more or less a formality. It's what's required by the CPA, by the state legislation, that a certain amount be set aside in each category that so a minimum amount has to be set aside in each category. That's administrative expenses, historic resources, community housing, open space and recreation, and then a budgeted reserve. So that's pretty much what it's about. Those items they're set. It's just part of the CPA requirement.
Okay, sorry, Howie. Okay, thanks, Howie, you're a real gentleman. Mr. Anderson Burgos, did we invite Ms. Landau? It looks like we did.
We did invite her, and she said that she knew Counselor Sullivan would be attending and that he would be likely to handle it.
Oh, boy. I love it. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. Okay.
I can clarify it a little further. I mean,
Go ahead.
if you look at it just from an account, she's saying appropriation, but I think what we're approving is the budget. All right, the appropriation, this is what our estimate is. It's going to come in from the city, the state match, and then how that gets divided up, okay, between the different items in the CPA, the different categories, and the percentage that has to be set aside for each one.
All right, does anybody have any questions for Counselor Sullivan, our Community Preservation Liaison to the City Council? Mike, I guess I'll accept a motion that we, let's see what the order says. The order says,
Appropriate, vote to appropriate.
So
Vote to receive it?
Yeah, so I would like to see us get it in front of the council at the next meeting with the possibility of just correcting some wording on it. I don't think it should be an appropriation for the following budget items. And then I would have a question of, it's saying here that each one has to be done as a separate appropriation. So.
you mean for each category, historic, housing, open space?
Yeah, so that would be my other question, if we have to do each one individual or if we
Well-
do it as a package.
Well, I have news from Ms. Landau. We can suspend rules and take them as a package. So if she had bothered to show up tonight, I would have told her directly, but that's okay. So, why don't you make the motion to approve the categories in sum and suspend rules to approve them in categories in sum, and then we'll go from there, okay? Now, but what about the wording? You want to, what do you want to change?
They are appropriations. Yeah, I guess we would leave that alone. That'd be fine.
Yeah, it sounds like that's.
The other ones
hard.
are revenue sources, so.
All right, I'll make a motion that we approve the estimated revenues for each of the categories and the administrative expense and the budget reserve.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the admin expenses, historic resources, community housing, open space, and budget reserves as described in the CPA annual budget. Under discussion. Hearing none. On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Okay, so there you go. That was easy. All right, I'll take a motion to remove from the table agenda item 7, please.
Motion to take item number 7 off the table?
Second.
Motion made and seconded to remove agenda item 7 from the table. On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
It is a license agreement between the City of Holyoke and Edward A. Owen. And I know we invited Lisa Ball, and Lisa Ball asked Attorney Degnan and Attorney Bissonnette to attend with us. Give me half a minute. I'm just going to call this up. I reviewed all this over the weekend, but I just want to refresh my memory. Yeah, Mr. Owen, I'll address you in a minute. Just hang back. Just hang back. And second of all, if you're going to speak in front of a microphone, okay? So, all right. All right. But this is if we even allow you to speak. So I think the best thing we can, okay, yeah, this agreement looked great because it really kind of zeroed out the city's liability. And what I'm taking is that there's going to be kind of a construction of handicap access and egress, which is probably on a city-owned parcel. And just for the public, but also for this committee and the city council to remember at whole, and for our law department, because there are new lawyers on the law department. So they may as well be educated on this as well. So several years ago, in regard to, with your predecessor, at least 3 times removed, Attorney Cunha, she had before us, actually she didn't have anything before us, she allowed to grant permission for a use and occupancy at the former geriatric authority in Holyoke. And we said to our wise counsel, how can you do that? Well, we can do that, Mr. Bartley, because you have nothing to do with it. And I said, Attorney Cunha, this has to do with real property. Anything to do with real property has to be voted upon by the city council. But Attorney Cunha said, and with the direction of Mr. Morse, said, oh no, this is a license. This isn't a lease. This isn't a sale. It's a license. Now that's cute lawyering. So what we did under our former city council president, we put in ordinances that specifically said to Attorney Cunha and the former mayor and anybody else that comes along that if it's a license, you got to come before us. Wasn't that cute? Obviously, I didn't like it, but I didn't forget it, and now I get to tell the story every time this comes up. So there you go. So we're going to, now we have, because we have diligent and we have conscientious attorneys and a conscientious acting mayor, we have before us a license agreement. And with that, I'm going to ask for a suspension to allow the law department to address us on this, to bring us up to speed, and we may or may not have Mr. Owen speak on this point. But if I could just get a motion, please.
Motion to suspend the rules to have the attorney speak?
Second.
Motion made, second, suspend, allow the law department to address us. All in favor? Aye. Attorney Degnan,
Yes.
you are still here. Attorney Bissonnette is here, but his mic's muted. So Attorney Degnan, are you going to speak to us on this?
Yes. Yes.
You
I
have the
can speak
floor.
to you. Oh.
You have the floor.
Okay. Yes. It's my understanding this request came to our office because Mr. Owen was interested in, as you said, Counselor, and accurately so, that there's going to be some construction on city property, and it's on Front Street, 120 Front Street to be exact. And the legal issue that we have here, because I think the request was for an easement, but the legal issue with an easement is that if you acquire land by any other way than purchase, and this land was, I have an order of taking, it was taken by eminent domain, that you cannot divulge, you cannot give the title to the land or interest therein like an easement is. It's a perpetual interest. Without the city council making a declaration that this city property is no longer being used publicly. I thought that was an issue because I didn't think that the city council wanted to declare Front Street not to be used by the public anymore. So the best thing that we thought of to do to help this man was to draft a license agreement, which is what you have in front of you. And I thank you very much, Councilor Bartley, for your statement that exactly, we have a lot of language in there trying to, make sure that the city is covered by way of, from liability, because when you have work being done, there's a possibility that there could be harm. So I understand Mr. Owen was not happy with it. I think his major concern was that we could order him to remove the improvements if there were an emergency, or if we wanted to, although that really wasn't the idea, to just go ahead, unless it is an emergency, to just tell them to do it. So we have a license here that can be renewed by coming to the city council every 2 years. As I understood it, Mr. Owen's lawyer was going to contact me, but he's not. So, the law department's not trying to be difficult if he wanted to contact us, but I don't know if that's the case. So here I am, giving as much information as I can to you counselors, and I hope that I've set the table. I hope I've answered some questions, and if not, I'll try to answer them now.
No, Mr. Owen, you cannot speak. You're out of order. I've asked you multiple times. No, not yet. No, I'm going to speak to the attorney, and then we will take a vote to allow you to speak. But we're not going to do it this second. Thank you. Ms. Degnan, thank you for, first of all, thank you for the summary. I like the draft language in here. Just reiterate for me what you said. This is a renewable license that can, once it's granted, it's renewable, it needs to be renewed every 2 years?
Yes,
Okay.
that's correct.
And then is this something that the applicant records, or is it just something that we just keep on record, or what do we do with this?
That's a good question. Easements and deeds have to be recorded. Licenses, not necessarily. Although I can't think of a reason why we wouldn't. But I wasn't thinking that it had to be recorded.
Yeah, I didn't see a
because
requirement here.
it's not an interest.
And then
Yeah.
the lawyering part here which is amazing. I mean, boy, this is like a deep dive into property law. It's like your head will explode kind of deep dive. So you said that a municipality cannot grant an easement under something like this where it was taken through I guess there's some kind of a foreclosure type of a deal. But could you just go over that for me one more time, please?
Sure, no problem. It could be that. Basically, if a city gets the title to land, to property, real property, by any other way besides a direct purchase. So it could be a foreclosure, it could be eminent domain, which is a situation that we have here. It was taken by eminent domain. You know, things of that nature where we just didn't go out and purchase it. You know, we got title to it by another way. Then if that's the case, it's for public purpose, which this is, it's Front Street. And before we can give to either sell it or to give an easement, which is an interest in real property, a license is not, the city council would have to say, okay, we're making a declaration right now, this property that we're granting an easement to is no longer going to be used for public purpose. And given what it is, I didn't think that was something that was going to happen. So that's why I chose the license agreement.
That is actually really, really interesting. Do any members of the committee, and we will get to Mr. Owen in a second, but any member of the committee have a question at this point in time for Attorney Degnan? I see no one. Does the committee want to hear from the petitioner?
Yes, I think.
Okay. So you can get a motion to suspend then.
Motion to suspend the rules to hear from the petitioner.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to hear from the petitioner. On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Now, that being said, now we have before you can speak, but since I have the gavel, Mr. Owen, so here's how the rules are going to be. You're going to walk over to the microphone. You're going to give your name and your address. You're going to get up to 2 minutes to say what it is you got to say. We're not going to have a colloquy. We're just say what you're going to say. If there are questions, I don't have one for you myself, but other counselors suspended, and they may have a follow-up question. So please address those. So name, address, and say what you got to say.
Edward Owen, 78 Hill Street, West Springfield, Mass. My property is located at 120 Front Street. And what I did is I sent Aaron Vega, I sent him an email, and I requested 2 questions to be answered by the law department. And they haven't been answered, but maybe she can answer them now. The first question is, what would consult an emergency? What would be an emergency where they would tell me to take down my ramp?
Okay, and what's the second question?
The second question is, what criteria would be used for the 90-day removal? Because we're talking $10,000 here. And the way this is written, somebody can just come and tell me to take this down, and I have no recourse but to take it down.
That's a fair question, but what exactly are you referring to, Mr. Owen? The way what is written, exactly where in the document?
I highlighted it on the page that I gave you guys on F.
All right. Okay. F.
If you read that whole statement, it says that.
Well, first of all,
Go ahead.
first of all, okay, I have a license agreement in front of me, F, okay, here it is. Okay, section 1F, let's just read it. The licensor, which is the city of Holyoke, why does it say, yeah, but we've got the city of Holyoke referred to as, okay, licensor, boy, I can't even read. The licensor, which is city of Holyoke, reserves the right to rescind the license, okay? In the event of an emergency, the licensor may rescind the license effective immediately. Otherwise, the licensor may rescind this license for other reasons, in which case the licensor shall give the licensee 90 days written notice. And upon the licensee's receipt of written notice, the licensee shall remove any improvement that the licensor wishes to be removed. The licensor must identify for the licensee in its notice to rescind the license the improvements which the licensee must remove. The licensee shall be responsible for all the costs of removing the improvements specified in the notice to rescind the license. Now, that is, and I can see Mr. Owen's trepidation in this, that's a touch vague, and it kind of covers any and all things. Ms. Degnan, do you have a example that might give us shed some light on this?
Well, I have to admit, because there is these hope, good faith here that we're not just gonna, oh my God, you've done this, Mr. Owen, I'll take it down immediately. That would kind of, nullify the purpose of this, and that's not something that we wish to do. So if these, and I'm not sure how far these improvements are going to jet out into the street, but if there were, let's say there's a fire, okay, and what he's done is impeded the fire department's ability to get to where we need to get to, and it's something that happens all the time, that might be something that we might either have to have him rescind, might have to have him removed, depending upon what we're talking about. And without, plans, it's kind of hard to make it more specific than that, and for that, I'm sorry. But that was what I was thinking about, something by way of emergency.
So Ms. Attorney Degnan, what you're saying is, and what you're saying is very fair. There's not way you can humanly determine every single emergency for the rest of the time that's going to come up. That is completely impossible. But what you said there was if there was a, Mr. Owen, I can see your reaction, okay? You're not 4 years old. You're not, yeah, you're going to wait your turn.
I am waiting.
And you're not going to go into a pout either. So what Ms. Degnan, what you're saying is if there's an emergency, a public emergency, something along this. So Mr. Owen should know that the city can't just do this arbitrarily. So it's not just going to be because. There would have to be something, kind of a larger public issue that would have to intervene on this. And Mr. Owen should be aware that he has a choice not to install it. Or there may be a possibility that he can put together some kind of a purchase agreement with the city. I don't know that to be true. But for right now, what the city is suggesting, and what I'm hearing from you, Ms. Degnan, is that we have a path forward wherein we're tied, we can't do an easement, because what you just said, so we're precluded by law from granting an easement because of the way we procured the property, unless the city council takes extraordinary measures. And we don't have that before us right now. And in the interest of efficiency, we're looking to see if we can get this before Mr. Owen sooner so he can create his handicap accessible area. Does that fairly summarize it?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Owen, what is your question?
I was wondering what the criteria would be for a 90-day notice.
Ms. Degnan?
You would get a letter, and it would indicate what would have to be removed, because we can't just say remove it. I mean, as Councilor Bartley read this, we would have to indicate in the notice what has to be removed. So I guess that depends. As Councilor Bartley said quite accurately, it's hard to foresee every type of situation, but it's not the city's intention to, basically stop you from doing this, but we had to find a way to do it legally. And
Can
this was the best we could do.
Can I explain my reasoning for what my problem is with this to you?
You can explain
Or
to the,
to
you
you,
can explain to the chair,
everybody?
yes. Go ahead, Mr. Owen. What's
All
your
right,
reason?
here's my problem, sir. On two different occasions, I had to fight to get my building off a blighted list, which you guys all know about because you helped me to do it, an underused list. Twice, my building was put on this list. I don't know who put my building on this list, and I don't know why my building was put on this list, because my building is not blighted, and it's not underused, but yet it was there twice. Now, what they want me to sign this document that gives you, once I remove, maybe you can correct me on this if I'm wrong. What's the lawyer's name?
Attorney Degnan.
Attorney Dagnan.
Me, yes.
Once I remove the existing ramp that's there now, okay, and I put in a new ramp, and you order me to take the new ramp out, I can't put another ramp in, can I? Because I removed the existing one that's been like grandfathered, I guess.
Well, it depends. I'm not sure what kind of ramp it is. Is it removable? Sometimes some things are removable and they're
No,
not permanently existing.
This would be permanent, ma'am. And it doesn't go to the sidewalk. When they did Front Street over, they put sidewalks to where the ramp is actually going to end. They put a sidewalk in there for the ramp, and they put two handicap parking spaces in front of where the ramp is going to end. So, I mean, it was all prepared. And when Marcos was here, he had told me I would be granted an easement, but now you explain why I can't get an easement, so I understand that. But is there any way that we can take F out of this agreement?
I'm willing to, Mr. Owen, to try to do some negotiation, maybe make it clearer, make paragraph F a little bit clearer so you'll be comfortable and not think that we're just going to tell you to rip your improvements down without thought to what you've done. I mean, I can't, we're not going to take it out completely, but maybe we can put language in there that might help.
See,
You know,
the problem is if we take the ramp out, there's no access to my building. Because my building, the doors are above the ground level. They're not at ground level. And that's why I have the ramp there in the first place, and the porches. See, because also on this is two porches, and a small loading dock, and the ramp. That's what is on this permit. I don't know if you guys saw that, but
I have it.
if we remove this ramp, there's no access to the front of my building. And I would be more than happy for anybody that wants to come to the building and see this. I mean, I can show you this. So it's very important for the use of the building to have, it doesn't necessarily have to be a ramp, but I was just being considerate. I don't have to build a handicap ramp if you don't want me to. I can just build porches. But it's up to you guys. I'm sorry, I'm muffled dry right now.
Okay, so I'm going to do it this way.
Do you think I could get one of the water?
I was just gonna get.
Yes, you can.
I'm sorry, I get all riled up here.
No reason to get around it.
I know, I'm nervous.
Everything's gonna work out.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so in the interest of comedy and efficiency, here's what we're going to propose, is that this is what's before us. We're not here to negotiate going forward. However, I'm going to recommend to this body that we grant this license agreement and recommend it for adoption as written. We don't meet as a body, as a full, we just recommend here. So this way, if we table in this committee, I don't know when we're going to meet again, so I'm not positive on that, although we're going to have to talk about that in a minute. So we could at least have it before the full city council October 5th. Between now and then, you and/or your council can confer with Attorney Degnan, and we could possibly amend this language so that everybody understands what's going on. I'm just going to suggest to you, none of us can see the future. The city, at least from my perspective, is very interested in having that property developed and maintained and stay in use. And if that's what's gonna take to have a handicap ramp to do that now until, from whatever, then I don't really see a scenario that would require an emergency so dire that your handicap ramp will be removed. Now, I didn't say it's impossible. This says emergency. I mean, it doesn't define emergency, but you can go to Merriam-Webster and look it up yourself, and what emergency. But there's no way in heck you can have any attorney in any contract generate a list or put in a definition page in here that's going to be satisfactory, because it's just impossible. There's too many variables. So, I mean, I want to speak to this. I hear what you're saying, but I'm much more interested in what Attorney Degnan has to say, protecting the city of Holyoke, and at the same time giving you, as a licensee, a chance to develop the business. So if that's not satisfactory, I don't know where to go from here, but if that is satisfactory, we will conclude this and proceed forward.
Two things. One, if I could meet with the attorney, that would be fine with me, if it's all right with her. Is it all right with you?
Well,
Just so long as you're not represented by counsel, because I was told
No,
counsel.
I'm
your
representing
counsel's gonna
myself
talk to
on
me.
this right now.
Okay.
And I'm trying my best to get this done the right way.
All right,
and
Mr. Owen,
that's why I'm here. But
Roger,
one more thing.
and what's number 2? Yes.
Okay, and one more thing. What would the purchase price be if you did want me to buy it?
Well, she doesn't determine that. Okay, so that's not her bailiwick.
Something you guys figure out?
No. We have an Office of Planning and Economic Development, we have an acting mayor, and we have all sorts of things. I'm going to suggest to you, why don't you see how this goes for more than a minute,
Okay.
and then perhaps down the highway, and just so you know, you don't get a direct line to buy it. This is public property. So it's going to be RFP'd or it's going to be auctioned.
I understand that.
Okay, so that's how that's going to work. So you can speak to Attorney Degnan. You can call the office and make an appointment at your pleasure and her convenience.
Can I call you tomorrow?
Well,
I'll be in the office tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
okay, all right. And then down the highway you do what you do. Okay, Mr. Owen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Tallman, Council Tallman.
Yeah, thank you. I think things get a little bit clearer for us, but we have somebody on the Zoom, maybe could help us a little bit. Is it possible to ask Aaron Vega to speak on this, or?
Does Mr. Vega need to speak on this?
Well, I thought that we had talked about Office of Planning and Development, so I mean, with
Aaron,
Marcos.
yeah, a motion to suspend allow Mr. Vega to speak. On the motion, all in favor? Aye. Aaron, do you want to weigh in this?
Good afternoon, good evening. I mean, you did a good summary, actually, Mr. Chairman. So, we do want to see this property more viable. We think that putting this ramp would make it more viable for tenancy. He does have tenants in there now. So we do see this as an improvement to the area, obviously with the die-card cut building being occupied now, and obviously the Lyman Terrace rehab. So we think it's a good move. Again, this is a lawyer situation and contracts, which is not my bailiwick, as you say. So, whatever we can do to, it's great to see Mr. Owens improving his property, so we want to support that. As far as selling the property, which I'm not sure that's even something we had considered, you're right, it would be an RFP, and that's a whole other process.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions for
Thank
Mr.
you,
Vega?
Aaron.
Any other questions for any counselors? Mr. Owen,
Yes, sir.
you have another question?
I think I'm going to just talk to Mrs. Deegan tomorrow.
Good idea.
We're waiting
Okay,
to
good idea.
make-
that's-
October 5th is what you said?
Next meeting.
Is a full city council meeting, yes,
All
7
right.
o'clock, October 5th. Right, I'm not sure, we all respect Mr. Marrero, and we appreciated his years of service to the city, and we truly do. Whether or not he gave you legal advice, I wasn't there, but he shouldn't have, if he did, he should not have given you legal advice on something. That's why we have a law department to do that. So, and I'm not giving legal advice either, so I don't give it either. That's why we have a law department. So there's that, okay?
I don't think he gave me legal advice.
oh.
I think he just said what he said. I don't think it.
Well, which is say that we would sell it to you, so that's
No,
legal
he didn't
advice.
say that. He
Right,
didn't say that.
Right, so well, that's inaccurate, so that can't
He
happen.
didn't say that.
Fine enough, well, I'll stand corrected. I could have sworn you said that, but it doesn't matter.
No,
Okay,
I said to
We got
her.
somebody on the.
okay. All right, is anyone else? Attorney Bissonnette with your, you got to turn up your vacuum cleaner.
Got the hairdryer on.
The hairdryer, whatever it is. Attorney Bissonnette, I don't know what that is, but go ahead.
Can't hear you. He's on a,
Cannot hear you, sir.
is he on mute?
I have no idea.
Yeah,
You
mute.
muted yourself.
I just muted it. It's too difficult to hear. I apologize.
Okay. All right, thanks, Mike. Mike heard the whole conversation. Ms. Degnan heard the whole conversation, so I'll let the three of you figure it out and then come back to us, okay?
Thank you very
All right,
much.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that being said, I will accept
We're gonna vote on this though, right, tonight?
I'd like to vote on it.
Yeah, I think it's great.
I'd like to vote on it. I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
I would accept the motion to grant the license agreement as written.
I make a motion to grant the license agreement between the City of Holyoke and Edward Nolan as written.
Second.
Motion made and second to approve the license agreement. On discussion, hearing none on the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. We are not going to say, thank you. We are not going to take up item 8. That's going to stay on the table.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
just
you very
on
much.
discussion- Just discussion. I always have number 9 as a placeholder. We have a little. Thank you, Ms. Degnan. We have. Thank you, Mr. Bissonnette. We have a little bit of a time crunch issue, so I thought I would present it. We're scheduled to have one meeting in October anyhow, and so the acting mayor and the Office of Planning and Development want us to act upon two. Let me just look it up. Let me just look it up first, and then I'll say what it is. Want us to act upon 4 items. One is and they're in this committee. They're already before the public as it is. So, and they want us to act on the items prior to the October 5th meeting, which means we could meet October 4th at 5:30. Now, I did not commit to that. I said I would ask the question in open meeting, and I haven't discussed this with any member of the committee, which I know they will agree with that because that's a true statement. I have not said to any of them. I said it's only going to be an open meeting. So this is for, there'll be for 2 TIFs. Oh, no, I'm sorry, 1 TIF, 1 tax increment exemption, and then a couple of transfers from, let me just see here, just title transfers. So if there's a quorum of, I'll make myself available. There is a Public Service Committee meeting on the 4th at 6 o'clock, although the chair advised that the chair could meet at 6:30. I said I'll put it out to this committee if they'd be available to meet next Monday at 5:30. So I hate to put you on the spot, but that's where it is. So Howie, are you available?
Yeah.
Councilor Tallman?
You really put us on the spot on this one, huh?
Well, listen,
that's all right.
I'll make myself available,
How
but
long will the meeting be, about an hour?
half an hour.
Half hour? I can be available.
Councilor Sullivan?
Fine by me.
Okay, fine by Councilor Sullivan. Okay. So that being said, we will have, in the interest of comedy, COMITY, we will have a meeting on the 4th at 5:30 in City Hall and on Zoom. So I hope that those listening to this hear that and appreciate it going forward, so that when we ask ever so small favors about ever such small things, there may be a little trigger in the back of their mind, say, oh, geez, that was nice of them. Okay, so that being said, I'll take one more motion and we are done for the day.
Motion adjourned.
Motion made and second to adjourn, non-debatable on the motion. All in favor? Aye, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate it.